Whereas President Barack Obama spoke frequently about how the arc of the moral universe would ultimately bend toward justice, and for his part, President Ronald Reagan, who spoke of an America as a shining city on the hill, often said this, quote, "Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction." Donald J. Trump has taken to claiming on a near daily basis that a cadre of career public servants who worked toward justice and protected the rule of law under Democratic and Republican presidents and administrations should be jailed. Trump lashing out repeatedly at special counsel Jack Smith while traveling abroad, as well as other Department of Justice and FBI officials and leaders of watchdog groups in unhinged social media rants, some of them posted very late at night / very early in the morning, with a tone barely worthy of a Facebook comment section, much less pronouncements of policy from a president of the United States. In one rant posted on Wednesday, Donald Trump targeted our colleague and MSNBC legal analyst Andrew Weissmann, as well as fired FBI agent Walter Giardina. Giardina was pushed out of the FBI while he was caring for his dying wife. It's a move his supervisors called, quote, inexcusably cruel in a lawsuit they have brought against the Trump administration after they too were fired by Kash Patel. The agent, Giardina, was fired because he had been the agent who arrested Trump ally and advisor Peter Navarro. That happened when Navarro was indicted on contempt of Congress charges for blowing off a subpoena from the January 6th Select Committee. Republican Senator Chuck Grassley also alleged, among other things, that Giardina had destroyed records on a laptop when assigned to the Mueller investigation. It's a charge that Giardina denies. In fact, he says he was never issued a laptop by Mueller or the Mueller investigation. Now, Giardina is the target of the man with the world's largest megaphone, who has been steadily beating the drum on accusations that the January 6th investigation was some sort of witch hunt. It was not. January 6th took place in full view of the public. It led to multiple criminal charges that were never tried against Donald Trump in a court of law because after the Supreme Court's immunity ruling, there was no trial. There wasn't enough time to get to trial before he prevailed in the 2024 election. But even the right-wing publication National Review isn't buying what Trump is selling on this particular topic. They write this, quote, "The notion that there was something scandalous about the leadership at DOJ and the FBI approving an investigation into conduct that resulted in viable criminal charges is ridiculous. But facts be damned, Donald Trump has reoriented his government, all of it, his political movement, all of it, his allies in Congress, all of them, and the Justice Department and FBI around his desires for retribution. That campaign threatens to leave all Americans less safe because instead of doing the things they're supposed to do to keep us safe, they're doing retribution." As Carol Leonnig writes today in the New York Times, quote, "A deep and bipartisan bench of justice veterans say the department has reached a frightening tipping point. They warn that grave dangers now loom for all Americans. Without the real Department of Justice we have long taken for granted, public servants predict malevolent actors can freely engage in crimes, knowing they will never face consequences." Since taking office January 20th, Trump and his appointees have driven out or fired combined centuries worth of frontline expertise that will take decades to replace. Seasoned national security prosecutors and agents have sounded the alarm in our interviews. These departures leave us less prepared to stop the next terrorist attack or foreign state spying operation. The Trump administration pursuing Donald Trump's retribution and ticking off his enemies list at the expense of U.S. national security is where we start today with some of our favorite reporters and friends. Former Assistant Special Agent in Charge at the FBI, MSNBC National Security and Intelligence Analyst Michael Feinberg is here. He's also a fellow at Lawfare. Also joining me, New York Times Justice Department reporter Glenn Thrush, and my friend and colleague, MSNBC senior political analyst, contributing host on Pod Save America, and host of the new podcast, Runaway Country. Alex Wagner is here for the hour. Michael Feinberg, I start with you because you are one of those national security officials who, while we love being able to talk to you about these stories, I think we benefited probably more as a country having you inside the FBI. And I wonder what you make of what now is not a quirk or a bug, but a feature of Trump's presidency, a daily maligning of career FBI and Department of Justice officials?
It's morally horrifying, and as a more basic matter, it is not remotely grounded in fact. There is a misconception, whether inadvertent or purposeful, that the president keeps using where he seems to imply that FBI agents choose who to arrest and when to arrest somebody. It's important to remember that every single person associated with Trump's circle who was arrested and indicted during the first term or during the Biden term was done so by a grand jury of their peers. These are not unilateral FBI decisions. These are not DOJ decisions. These are decisions made by the citizenry of our country. So to say that it was an individual agent who brought Peter Navarro down, or that it was solely Jack Smith or Merrick Garland who had Trump indicted, is to elude the truth, which is that the defendants' own communities are the ones who decided to charge them.
And what does it say to the people left inside the FBI that this campaign of retribution continues long after people are fired, long after careers that I think most of you think you'll have for as long as you're interested in public service are abruptly ended by Donald Trump, that the abuse doesn't end? And he's rolling out names from 2017 that he attacked frequently that probably aren't known to a broader general public, but are characters in some of the right-wing conspiracy theories that have festered for years. And these are people that have been out of the Bureau and out of the department for years now.
Yeah, look, they're creating very powerful disincentives for people to work on politically sensitive cases. Unfortunately for our country, the politically sensitive cases are the most important ones for us to work because they're the ones that really provide guardrails and accountability for our democratic system. And I think it's worth noting here that a lot of the individuals who Trump names, yes, they worked in Democratic administrations, but they also worked under Republican leaders. You know, Andrew Weissmann, Lisa Monaco, these are two people who worked at the FBI. Robert Mueller, who was as rock-ribbed a Republican as you can think of. If you think of the traditional sort of Northeastern, Southeastern conservative in American history, and you had to create an exemplar of that figure out of whole cloth, you would end up with Robert Mueller. Mm-hmm. So to say that the people who served under him were partisan warriors for the left is quite frankly ridiculous.
Glenn Thrush, you write about another person who's sort of an archetype of exactly who you want on the line on the national security side. I have no idea what his politics are, but you wrote this about Mr. Giardina, quote, Giardina, who regards his FBI service as an extension of his military commitment, said, quote, it was unfathomable to see my entire life, which has been focused on family and the FBI, to be torn apart in an instant. By the time Grassley went public with his claims, Colleen Giardina, his wife's health had already been deteriorating. At times, it seemed like her death and the end of his nearly two-decade career were racing each other on parallel tracks, her husband said. Mr. Giardina's wife suffered an adverse reaction to chemotherapy and began to pace back and forth relentlessly as she became increasingly sick. After she was admitted to the hospital, Mr. Giardina asked a nurse to reserve a conference room for an interview with the Congressional Affairs Office in hopes they would conduct a proper investigation to clear his name. They agreed to the meeting, then pulled out, he said. It was a nightmare, Mr. Giardina recalled. Mr. Giardina was on the receiving end of a post attacking him from Donald Trump while on a trip. He didn't seem well rested. Maybe attacking Mr. Giardina is the reason.
Look, it's no surprise that Peter Navarro, Donald Trump's trade advisor, his sort of the architect of his tariff policy, has been telling anyone who would listen to him about all the depredations of Giardina in his case. In fact, Giardina was given a list of instructions. He is the guy who arrested Navarro, who was, by the way, convicted of a crime by a jury of his peers. And Giardina apparently, from every telling of this incident, didn't do anything that he was not under instruction to do. So if, what Navarro's big issue is, and it has become a personal crusade for Peter Navarro to get this guy, or in his view, to hold this guy accountable. Essentially, what Navarro has claimed is that that he was treated disrespectfully, that Giardina created a public spectacle. All the reporting that we've been able to ascertain in my interview with Giardina is that that wasn't necessarily the case. He was essentially following instructions. And the point that everyone has made is an accurate one. Particularly when you're talking about the FBI, the level of discretion that they have in terms of what to investigate and how to investigate it, when you get to the level of line agent, as Giardina is relatively circumscribed. In my interview with Giardina, he said to me something which will resonate. He said that he had two big decisions to make every time he went on an investigative trip. And number one was which hotel he got to stay in, and number two is where he got to have dinner.